Alright, apologize, had a few kind of technical difficulties, I guess. The file sizes actually were too long for YouTube, which I still think is the easiest way to send this data to you. So hopefully things are working now. Actually, if you're watching this, they obviously are working. So what I'm going to do now is discuss how we calculate the win wager in the parimutuel industry. Going back, this is the algebraic formula for doing that. I'm going to be honest, I don't know how to do that based on the algebra in this, but I can tell you how we do it and how it works. Each individual horse has individuals that are wagering differing amounts of money on that horse to win. So all the amounts that are bet on each individual horse are put into their own separate pools. Once the wagering ends, those pools are combined into one gross pool. Now there's a set amount of money that's taken out of that. It's usually between 15 and 25%. That's the takeout. That money it's separated from the pools and goes to it's money that the racetrack will earn on this race. That's money that the horsemen will earn that will go towards the purses for the race. That's money that the state will make in state taxes. There's a lot of different areas that this gets split up. Now what's left of the gross pool is split up among all the winning wagers that are placed on that race, and that's what winds up getting paid out in the win pay for that race. Now to solve for this, what we have is the Association of Racing Commissioners International. It's also the ARCI, or sometimes just the RCI. This is a pseudo-governing body for racing commissioners, and they have a set of model rules on their website, and I've actually sent those ahead of time to your group to be able to look at this. Now, they have a system of calculating the win amount for the win wager, but it's not shown algebraically. So what I've done is taken their documentation, and I believe what I've done is accurately put this in an algebraic form. To review the formula, GP is the gross pool, so that's the total amount of money that's bet on the win wager for that race on all the different horses. The T is a takeout. This is the percentage that is taken out of the formula to, like I described earlier, to pay the purses and the state and the racetrack, etc. And the ABW is the total amount that's bet on that winning horse. So that's the individual pool for the individual horse that won that race. The BK is going to be the breakage. Now this represents the pennies that are left over in the formula once you get to this section. Racetracks don't want to deal with pennies. They don't want to have to pay any of the they don't have to pay the wagers the pennies that are left over at that, so they take that amount out. Now that amount goes to pay for a variety of different things depending on which state you're in. The win wager, the breakage goes to this. The place wagers, the breaks from the place wagers may go to that. It's done statutorily where that money goes, and it's not really an essential part of this formula right now. Eventually though, you multiply that all times 2, and that's the win is what's paid out to the patrons on that race. Problem is, I'm not able to get a lot of this data. I can take old race charts and some help from a couple of different industry groups to get an estimation of the gross pool. Unfortunately, and I'll describe this in detail on Tuesday, but I can't get an exact amount on this. I can get the gross pool from the win, place, and show wagers, and what I'm proposing is take about 70% of that. That should adequately show what the gross pool would have been for the win wager on that, but it's not exact. I can get the takeout. That's the one thing I definitely can get in all this formula, but the amount that's bet on the winning horse I cannot get. This is it. It's a very long story on this. I've tried in so many different ways to get this, and I'm just not able to. And I can get the win amount down here. Those are definitely the win amount and the takeout of the things I can get that should be exact. What I'm trying to do though is work backwards to get to this point, and to do that I have to go through the breakage, and I'm going to show you where that becomes very, very difficult to do. Essentially what I need to do on the algebra in this is solve for ABW and BK based on the estimated pool data for this and the win amount down here. Now I'm going to briefly go through the algebra that I've done on this to rearrange the formula. Obviously don't need to teach you guys algebra, so but I do want someone to go back and check my steps on this to make sure what I'm doing is correct. To do all this, I'm saying that if you divide both sides by 2, the 2 will move over. If you add that BK to both sides, and the BK will move over, and then if you subtract the 1 from both sides, this would be your result. Now, if you take this and rearrange it, we can let GP minus GP times T equal Y. And then if we let all of this right side equal X, the result would be Y over ABW divided by ABW would equal X. Now, if we then work to solve for ABW, we can split this side into its parts. Then this would become 1, so this the 1 would be here. Then we can move that over to get this. Then we can take the inverse of that, which would be this section down here, then multiply times y on both sides, and then we would be left with ABW equals y over x plus 1. Now if we go back and resubstitute for the x and the y, we can put those back into the side of the formula, and the result, at least on my calculations, would be this whole formula down here. So now we have shown that we can solve for ABW based on the estimated gross pool and the win amount that we have provided. The problem is we need to solve for both ABW and BK to adequately go from one side to the other. And based on the fact that the BK is taken out before you move to this side, you can't go back through without knowing the BK, and if you don't know it, there's no way to solve for ABW. So what I'm at least proposing, since there's no way to solve for BK based on the limited data that we have, we can't really solve for ABW until we have it though. So what I'm proposing is to let BK equal a random number. This number be somewhere between 0 and 9, and that's going to represent the pennies that are left over from each wager that are broken out of the system. I think this should be an accurate way to do this. We're going to be running this for however many races we have, which is probably going to be, it's going to be thousands of races, and I think over time, I think we should be able to show that that is an accurate way of doing it. Now, we're not going to have starting data to compare this to, so I'm not exactly sure statistically how we can show that this is accurate, and that's definitely something I want to work with your department on solving, is trying to figure out a way to make sure that this is an accurate way of doing this. Right now there's really no literature on this particular subject, on calculating these pools based on estimated data, at least in that's specific to the parimutuel industry. There's several universities that study gaming. We do. The University of Louisville has a program that's similar to ours, not exactly like ours though. The University of Nevada at Reno has a gaming division. So there's a lot of universities doing this, but no one has really done this kind of work on synthesizing these pools. But I think there is a need to do this. Right now I've had a lot of trouble finding this data, and basically I'm having to come up with my own way. So I think there is some need to be able to do a standardized system of calculating this data that we can use for different projects down the road. And unfortunately there's no sign that the industry is going to open up and let us have this kind of data down the road. There's actually more signs that they're going to show less data. So I think there's definitely a need to try to work out something on this. So what I'm actually proposing in the end is to do a short paper on this, probably 6, 8, 10 pages, but show the steps that we've done to calculate this pool data. I'd like to have this reviewed with your department. You may have other suggestions on having this academically reviewed. It's kind of hard to have it peer reviewed because I don't have a lot of peers that are doing this, but I'd like to have it reviewed by somebody with the expertise that could look and make sure that this is accurate. I'd like to have this submitted to an academic journal for further peer review. One suggestion is the Journal of Gambling Studies. There's other academic journals that study the world of gaming and horse racing, different things. So I think there would be some areas to do this. There's a lot of benefits to this. It will help my program out a lot. We're a very young program, especially in the master's degree, so having more data out there that we've published will help us out. This will also be a way to defend my project and any other projects down the road against any kind of criticisms that are out there. And it also helps me draw attention to my industry that they're not providing this kind of data for us to do research on. I think it's wrong that I have to simulate data like this, and I think hopefully this will help draw some of that attention to that fact. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me. My email address is ushorseman@gmail.com. Also, my phone number is at the end of all the emails I've sent, so feel free to call me. Anything I can do to help out ahead of time on Tuesday would be great. I'm really looking forward to Tuesday, and I appreciate your help on all this.